A bit of a quick video here. I don't know how many people are going to care about this, but I'm mainly doing this just for backup reasons and for anybody who, for some reason, still hasn't played the game and would want to. But today is actually the 8th anniversary of Bikdip's Adventure 2 being finished. Nothing really particularly special about the number 8, but it's an anniversary, and I actually have been meaning to do this for a while, so here we go. Not really sure where to start with this. Basically, as you may be aware, depending on how much you know about this game, the version on PureZC that is right here is actually a pretty outdated version. I uploaded this one as soon as the game was finished, pretty much. It was hosted on the site within 5 days, and this is not the most current version by any means. It works just fine, but there's a few things that I changed, and I prefer that people usually play the changed version. So whenever somebody's talking about playing it, I always say, go to my website and get the one there. And speaking of which, that does still exist. If you go onto my free webs page, go to download, there is a link to it here. But lately, it has come to my attention that this is not really a good way to host it, because the free website can very easily go down. A lot of times it does, either because I haven't signed into it in a long time, or a couple months ago it actually went down due to traffic because I hosted a text file on here, posted it on Reddit, and a ton of people looked at it, and the site actually went down for a month. And so not only is the good version only hosted on free webs, but the part 2 of the quest with the real level 9 is also on here. And so if the site was to go down, that would just be completely gone, because it's not linked to at all on PureZC, since the original way that you're supposed to get it was to beat the first file, and then you'd be told, like, hey, go to this website and download it. So that method does still exist, but I'm basically creating this as like a backup just for being cautious and for good form in general. So in the description, I'm going to link to this host on a Google Drive. This basically includes anything you would ever want for BA2 and more, and I'm going to very briefly go over what some of this stuff is. You can download it just with the button up here, and then it's a RAR file. You just unzip it and you have all this stuff. So in here, if you watch this video, you might not need to necessarily read this, but and actually the reverse is also true. I don't need to frickin' read all this out loud because the file's right here. But I have a text file called readme first, and this one basically just goes over what everything in the file is, or everything in the folder is, and like why it exists. And then at the end I just kind of go over like some update stuff and things like that. But to really briefly go over them, this, as the name implies, is the original version, which is still the one hosted on PureZC. This is the updated version that I did in 2010. It has a few changes in it that are better than the original. It makes like a couple shortcuts, improves the graphics in a couple places, removed a bit of sequence breaking, stuff like that. It's generally just the better version overall. This is the original README that went with it. It's still, other than the fact that right now it's not displaying correctly because I'm not in Arial, this one is still accurate, like, at least in most regards. There might be a couple things in it that are a little outdated, but it's a good README for what it is. It goes over everything you need to know, so there you go. So that's all fine. Now, here's where we get into the funky stuff, because, oh, and actually, before I even get to that, this down here, this is a download of the Zelda Classic version 1.92 beta 184. It's the preferred version to run the game in. If you go to like zeldaclassic.com or something, they'll usually link to beta 183, which is actually slightly inferior because it has a map crashing bug, which really sucks, and this version fixes that. So I recommend using this version if you can't get 190 to run, and let's face it, nobody can get 190 to run because it's in freaking DOS. But anyway, this stuff here, these are the ones that were just hosted on the free website and were otherwise obtainable, or unobtainable. Basically, the way this works is they're still password protected. So like, let's say that you want to just jump ahead in the game and just play the very ending of it. So you're like, I'm going to go ahead and extract this. It'll actually ask you for a password. The password is the same one that's given in the game. So basically, when you get to the end of the first quest file and it says go to this website to download it, it's going to say freewebs.com/Bikdip on a bus / and then the thing after that is the password. And then that one is used for the Part 2 default. The one for Part 2 enhanced is given in the bonus level, because that's how it originally was meant to be. What you would normally do is you'd beat the bonus level, you'd get a code, and he'd basically say you'll have use for this code later. And so what you would do is you'd go to the website that leads to this one, and text on the website says, hey, if you have that code, put that into the URL instead, and you'll get the better version. So you can do that. If any of that was confusing, all of it is explained in this text file here. What do I do with passwords? It explains where those 2 passwords came from, even though I just explained it. Like where you get them from, what they do. And then it just kind of goes over some of the other stuff, because there's the in-game code used for refilling life. There's the Easter egg that led to the speed run, which is no longer really necessary because the speed run's public, and that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of documentation, because there's a lot of codes and passwords and it can be hard to keep them straight. That's pretty much all you need to know. ba2.save is kind of unnecessary because it's a save file that only works in 190. I go over what that is in the README first, but again, it's not that important. And then bonus images is pretty much what it sounds like. It's just the promotional stuff that I made a long time ago, and they were originally like, when you would get the download for the second quest, it would be like, hey, here's some bonus images, and so that's what those are. So that's about it. If you want to get BA2 and haven't played it yet, or if you want to play through it again, by all means go for it. Here's an updated version. Everything's easy to get. You don't have to hunt. You don't have to bug me. So yeah.